Hey everyone, welcome back. Today, we're diving into a couple of important questions that educators are grappling with as technology continues to evolve in the classroom. The first is, how can we maintain a balance between adopting new tools and ensuring that learning experiences stay meaningful for students?
The key is purpose. Don't just bring something into the classroom because you saw it online and thought it'd be fun. I've made this mistake, usually with crafts. You think that it will drive engagement, and it usually does. Unfortunately, without a purpose-driven plan, it usually malfunctions in some way. It's easy to get too focused on the how of the activity and lose track of the why.
Amanda, balancing the adoption of new tools and making sure the student's learning experience is a huge challenge, especially as there's always a shiny new tool on the horizon that promises to transform education. But just because something is new doesn't necessarily mean it will enhance the learning process. I attend several conferences a year, and at each conference, there is something new and innovative that we could potentially use in our lab. I have to ask myself a series of questions before I consider requesting the purchase of the latest greatest simulation mannequin, VR training equipment, etc. In my program, I have added some fantastic interactive tools that have transformed my students' learning, especially in skills. However, the implementation had to be planned in detail, and that, along with the previously mentioned, was the key to successful balance. You must look at every aspect of what you want to add to the learning environment to ensure it is right for your classroom and students.
This planning and implementation is so much easier when you have others to collaborate with. Some of the points y'all have brought up are not things that would have come to mind for me right away. Having a team of stakeholders in the new technology walking through the evaluation process makes it a much more thorough process. I absolutely agree. Unfortunately, that is not the system that my district has in place. I firmly believe that the implementation of specific tools should come down to a collaborative effort between teachers and not purely determined by the administrative staff. I really like the concepts explored in Audrey Waters' article in response to this question. As I mentioned in our previous discussion, I was in the first high school class that received MacBooks. Despite the incredible ability to supply an entire school with this technology, students used it more as a distraction, downloading VPNs and other add-ons to bypass the restrictions that had been initially placed on the computers. Issues like these stem from a disconnect between the students and the material they are learning. Returning to Waters' ideas, students engage with their work more effectively when it is not only personalized, but they have more access and control over it, also developing a sense of responsibility. Waters stated that students are the subjects of their learning, not the objects of education technology software. Without these personalized aspects of education, it is significantly harder to connect students and their want to learn.
That leads us to the next question. How do we evaluate technology tools that claim to personalize learning or adapt to student needs?
I've worked with these several times. For my resource English class, the district paid a ton of money to get my students an all-inclusive reading program. The biggest selling feature was the independent online piece that moved with the learner. As they got the questions right, it gave them harder questions. They started outsmarting it by just getting questions wrong so they could stay on the easy levels and get really good grades. I hope as AI improves, it can adapt to students that have a tendency to work the system. The best evaluation of these types of programs is not giving it total reign of your classroom. You still need to know your kids, their capabilities, and monitor how they are using the program.
What an interesting experience, Amanda. I agree that constant monitoring and understanding of the student remain essential to ensure that technological tools truly support academic development rather than becoming shortcuts. Hopefully, AI will continue to evolve to better adapt to these scenarios.
Yes, Paula, that would be a great development for AI to help teachers with the monitoring aspect of the job. We literally need to have eyes in the back of our heads to catch everything kids are trying to get away with. Using technology to battle misuse of technology is a plan we can all get behind.
Amanda, I find it interesting to see the difference between the K through 12 education adoption processes and that of higher education. In my experience, I have found it is necessary to ask yourself the following questions when evaluating a new adoption. How will this benefit my students? How will it be implemented? Will it change the schedule for the day? And if so, how do we accommodate the change? Will it replace a skill or activity that is currently in place? Will this addition enhance the student learning outcomes and experience? And if so, how Where is the data? Lastly, what is the cost? And is there a service agreement that will need to be renewed? And can we afford to add this to the program budget? Most of these questions can be answered collaboratively with my faculty, other program directors who have adopted the same equipment, and the sales rep. Then, we have to present it to our program advisory committee for approval. I have found that conversations with other programs that have implemented the same technology give me the best feedback and information I need to make a decision. Additionally, I always ask the company if they can send demo equipment if it is applicable.
Stephanie, I would say the adoption process in K through 12 is not very different than you have described. We're usually presented with a couple of options when looking for a particular program to fill a need. The sales reps come to speak to a group of us and show a demo. Unfortunately, more often than not, it simply comes down to cost. And that service agreement you mentioned is a big part of the cost. The specialized computer program I've worked with that individualized the curriculum to my students' needs was great, but the district only paid for 2 days of training with the program representative. Then I was on my own to troubleshoot. Running the system wasn't a problem. Understanding how to use the reporting side of the program was. Since then, I have learned a lot about what questions to ask, which includes many of the ones you mentioned, but I really want to know how you're going to help me with your product months down the line. Those questions are essential to preventing you from wasting your time and money. I couldn't agree more. The technology itself might be fantastic, but without proper support and training, it won't reach its full potential. We need to ensure that teachers feel confident and competent in using these tools to truly benefit their students. Absolutely, Simon. I've seen many instances where teachers are left to fend for themselves after the initial training. This can lead to frustration and underutilization of the technology. It's essential that we have a support system in place that teachers can rely on whenever they encounter issues or need further guidance. One of the biggest challenges we face is ensuring that educators receive ongoing support and training after the initial implementation phase. It's not enough to just have a one-time training session. Continuous learning and support are crucial for the effective use of technology in the classroom. In this segment, we delve into the importance of long-term support and training for educators when adopting new technology tools.
Evaluating the effectiveness of technological tools requires designing strategies with a specific purpose that allows for personalized learning and systematic impact assessment. This involves tracking the process by collecting data from prior knowledge validation to final evaluation after implementing the learning strategy.
AI Waves highlights that artificial intelligence technologies can enhance motivation and improve academic outcomes when applied based on solid pedagogical principles and aligned with educational objectives. To validate this, it is necessary to conduct comparative studies that measure student progress before and after the implementation of these tools. Additionally, it is essential to consider the perspectives of teachers and students when evaluating the impact of technology on learning. The user experience should be intuitive and easy to navigate, avoiding cognitive overload while fostering engaging and sustainable learning.
NAS emphasizes that the effectiveness of these tools depends not only on their technological capabilities, but also on their integration into instructional strategies that enrich the educational experience and encourage active student participation.
Paula, I kind of overlooked your idea of considering the perspectives of teachers and students when evaluating the impact of technology on learning in my initial response. I agree that the decision in evaluating these programs should come down to the teachers. However, it is also important that the students using these programs enjoy and understand how to use it as well. We want these students to develop their want to learn, and a very effective way of doing so is by making sure they are working on assignments that are engaging.
Simon, I totally get the frustration when administrators, not teachers, choose the technology that ends up in our classrooms. It's especially tough when a program like Reflex doesn't live up to its claims of personalized learning, focusing more on repetitive mini-games than truly adaptive instruction. When we're required to use such tools every day, it becomes clear they may not offer the differentiated approach our students need. That's exactly why I believe teacher collaboration should be at the heart of these decisions. By meeting, sharing experiences, and analyzing data, we can show which programs genuinely engage our students and which fall short of their promises. Ultimately, we all want the same thing: technology that truly benefits students. And that's best achieved when those of us in the classroom have a seat at the decision-making table.
In this discussion, this group shares their perspectives on how to best integrate new technology into the classroom. They emphasize that while innovative tools can promise personalization and engagement, they must be adopted with clear objectives, proper training, and input from those who will be using them, both teachers and students. The conversation highlights the frustration that arises when administrative decisions about classroom technology leave little room for teacher collaboration, leading to tools that don't always live up to their potential. Despite these challenges, the speakers also point to success stories, cases where carefully planned implementation and ongoing support help technology truly enhance learning. Above all, they agree on the importance of asking critical questions before adoption. How will it benefit students? What does training look like? Is there adequate follow-up and support? By fostering open communication and collaboration among educators, administrators, and students, schools can choose tools that not only entertain, but genuinely enrich education.